Welcome to Power Moves with Eugene Wise. Okay, so all kidding aside, the one thing that I would like you guys to do first, well, welcome. I wish we could be meeting on better circumstances. I hope you all are staying home, staying healthy. Now I gotta catch my breath. So the first thing I want to do is, if you can go to darkroomtemplates.com and type in demo, there is a free download that you can download and work along with me. So go ahead and add that to your cart. Check out. Fill out this information, and then you should be able to download it. And I already have it downloaded on my computer, so we'll go ahead and work on that and get that downloading. And I am gonna get some things prepared on my end. Okay. So while those are downloading, what we're going to do, and it'll download a zip file, and just hold on to that for right now. Things that we're going to be covering in this Facebook Live session is creating a media library. What you're downloading now is graphics that we're going to use and work along with. We're also going to install some templates, just in case anybody's not familiar with the different ways you can install templates. And then we're going to go over a few topics. Each one of these has specific tasks that we're going to do to become a little bit better about designing templates aesthetically, but usability for you and your customers, and also functionality so that they can work better. So we have those graphics that you're downloading. We're also going to get into just a little bit of Photoshop. It's more of a bonus for those that are using Photoshop or kind of new to Photoshop, have it, and would like to become a little bit more proficient. We're going to get into just a little bit of Photoshop. This is definitely not a Photoshop class. It just has some little small things in there that hopefully will make your template designs just a little bit more you. What you want to add, how you want them to look. I also want to talk about some of the other applications that I'm actually using, so that we don't have to have a printer. I'm using my webcam rather than hooking up a digital SLR. I'll be using ManyCam. And also I'm trying really hard not to touch my face, as we all should, but we can play a little game. That's the first time I think I've touched my face, if you guys want to count along with me. So let's go ahead and get to those files. Hopefully they have finished downloading on your end. Okay, here are some of my demo files. This is the folder I'm looking for right here. So, okay, so you'll receive a zip file. Thing that you'll want to do, we'll copy that to my desktop. You'll want to extract it. And for right now, I'm going to go ahead and extract it to my desktop. And there are quite a few files in here, pretty high resolution, so it might take just a little bit to extract. Okay, now that has extracted, where we are going to put it is inside our Documents folder. So we can go ahead and copy it straight into Documents. I have a whole bunch of stuff already in there, but we're going to right click on that folder, and we are going to select Include in Library and select Create New Library. So now in our libraries, and this is really just for access and ease of use, we have our media library. Inside of this folder we have a few different backgrounds. We'll go ahead and look and see what you guys got. Backgrounds that you can use, and you'll notice that some of these are the ones that I would use for the demo files that we upload to darkroomtemplates.com. But there are a whole bunch of them in there, and it comes from a pack that I think it's right around $100, the Metal Alchemy design pack. So you guys get those for free. Just our way of saying thank you for being a good customer. So there's backgrounds, a whole bunch of buttons, and this is going to be kind of what we're more focused on, is the screen templates and the functionality in there. So a whole bunch of buttons. I have a droplet, so we can see how to add a droplet. That's included. Some extras, they're kind of like little things to add design aesthetics. Masks and panels. The masks are for cropping things, the photo, and we'll get to all of those in just a moment. So now we have our media library created. The next on my list is installing templates. So we all know that our templates get saved in our X drive. We have booth screens and booth templates. First thing we're going to do is I have an updated mirror booth template. Now the videos are all the same. It's specifically the preview and the keyboard are built into it, and you can download this from Darkroom templates as well. I've already added it there, and it's a free download as well. So your screen templates get copied into your booth screens under your X drive. So you can just drag them in there, and whenever you, and I already have it in there because it comes with the software, but this is an updated version, so I'm going to go ahead and replace it. And I have a couple more screens that we're going to just go ahead and drag in. So that is how you can add templates through Windows folders. And if we go to Darkroom Booth now and go to our screens, click Choose, you'll see these are those two other templates that I just dragged in, and here is the updated mirror booth screen with preview images. So, and we'll talk about the these templates in just a moment and why I've added those. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a print template, and essentially this is the same thing, just a different way to do it. So we are going to go to our print templates, click Add, and then I have those files on my desktop under Demo Files. I'm looking for this one right here. Okay, I'm going to click Add Selected. Okay, so now we're going to kind of jump in and actually start working on these templates and get into the meat of this demo. So one of the things I want to talk about was your just ease of use. So we have this image right here. A lot of people don't know that you don't have to grab your image and resize it. That way, if you're using a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can resize it with the scroll wheel and it should keep its proportions. But very specifically, I just moved this one off of here, and now I have to try to get it to line back up with that one. there's a trick that you can use. I'm going to hold down Control and click on the background, and I can see that this graphic is selected in this, this image node or photo object is most selected in the image node is selected, the graphic is most selected. So I can see right here, both checked and highlighted. So I'm going to right click and make same position and size. So whenever you're building your photo strips, one thing that you might want to do if you're doing green screen, if you add them as single objects, and let's go ahead and see if we can do that real quick. We'll come back to this template in just a moment. Okay, new, we'll make it a 2x6. If I add an object, I can use my scroll wheel. One of the things that I like to do is once I have the size that I want, I like to copy and paste, and then make sure I only have one checked, and use my arrow keys to get the placement. I know that their left and right is all correct because I didn't move it with my mouse. If I had moved it with my mouse, then this might not be straight. So, oh, and I want to change these to green screen. And this one should be 2. Copy, paste. Make sure I only select one when I move it. So now it becomes a little bit more difficult to actually see the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all, and then right click, and then go to space, vertical spaces. And it just moved it just a little bit so that we have equal spaces there. Double click on this one and change it to 3. So now what we're going to do is add our artwork. We'll just grab a background. We'll go with this one right there. And the reason why I wanted to jump into a new template was if we do that same thing and make the same position and size, you can see that it actually cropped the image down to the size. So if you have graphics that are not all the same size, using this method you can actually get it to conform to the photo. So we'll go ahead and copy, paste, and that one will go there, and that will go there, and then hold down Control, right click, make same position and size. And using some of these right click options, you can see how this can be real quick and easy to build. Whoops, undo. We gotta make sure that we have the correct one selected. So we want to check that one and select this one. We'll try that again, make same position size. But check out all these different options. These are real helpful to help you save time. And so let me try that one more time. Make same size position. Okay, so this is a good way to make sure everything is lining up, matching up. So let's go ahead. I'm going to save that. We'll just call it new border for now. One trick that I do like to use sometimes is I'll put a number in the front, and that will force it to go to the top. So if you need something that quick access, so you don't have to scroll through a whole bunch of templates, you can add a number to the front. So just another little tip. Okay, so we are going to go to our birthday template, and the next thing on my list is adding a QR code. So what I'm going to do is go to my event gallery page, and let's say we're using this gallery right here. I can copy that. Let me see. Oops, I'm going to go to client side. And then we're going to select, we'll go with this one. I can copy that URL. So now whenever I print, this little QR code is going to print on my print. Where this becomes really helpful is now you don't have to upload to Facebook, or you don't have to allow emailing. You don't have to have people type in their phones. When it prints out, you say, look at this, pull out your phone and scan the code. And you guys can try it at home right now. I actually don't have my phone with me, so it doesn't ring. But if you scan that code, it should take you that page. So now all you have to do is print and send them on their way with the print. It'll help your queue or your line move just a little bit faster. So that's QR codes. One more thing that I wanted to talk about. We'll go ahead and save that. I'm going to open this template, and the actually two more things we're going to talk about. So you have this graphic list, and it's set to work as a booth sticker. If you use that in conjunction with cancel, go to text tab, enable booth edit, you can then allow people to change that graphic, update those stickers. So we'll go back to print templates, choose, we're going to open that back up because I have one more thing I want to show you. Right here, you can use apply a color effect and select droplet, and if you click choose, go to your libraries and media library, we have a droplet, and we can go ahead and attach that. It's our Shrekify. This is kind of just more of a fun one. I don't know that anybody would really want their face to look more Shrekly, but we'll go ahead and give this a go. Select that one, and we'll go ahead and update it. We haven't moved on the screen templates. That is coming next, and that's where we're going to spend the bulk of this demo. So we'll go ahead and start it up. And you can see it has the ManyCam logo at the bottom. I'm just using the free version. So it's going to take a picture, and it is actually processing in Photoshop right now with the droplet. It might take just a little bit. And there's my little man Shrekified. So that's using a droplet. And then here is, I don't have a touch screen, but if you were to touch the screen, I can't see my mouse, but I could then apply a sticker. But you guys know how that works. So okay, one more small thing, whenever you're troubleshooting your droplets. Let's see, where is it? Let me close all these things so I can get. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I moved it. Downloads. Media library. So, whenever you're testing out your droplet, one of the things that's really important, actually what you should do before you just go ahead and use it, is test it to make sure it actually works. So I'm going to pull open Photoshop. We'll close that. That's going to be a part of a demo in just a little bit. I don't need it saved. Okay, let me find a picture of a person. Well, we'll use my daughter this time. So, you have your droplet. What you'll want to do is actually test it to make sure it works. You can see it processing, and you're testing it outside of Darkroom just to make sure everything's working the way it should. And it processed it, and now if we look, we know that it's working just in general. So if you're running into any issues, this is a good way to troubleshoot droplets. Just wanted to show you that. So let's go ahead and move past that, and we're getting into screen templates. Let's see. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So the first thing on my list is super basics. A lot of people forget that this area right here is the first thing that shows up because it really is, it's the basic stuff, but it's pretty important. When you're designing a template, it should match your screen resolution. Now I have two monitors hooked up, so I actually do not want to have the combined one. I just want the current resolution, which is a full HD 1920 by 1080. So if you're designing your templates and they're not fitting on the screen right, this is a place you'd want to look at the current screen resolution. The next thing is the text color. So a lot of people will, let's undo that. So they'll contact us and say, how do I move the text? It's right on top of the image and I can't see it, or something along those lines. The default text is using these attributes. There's the opacity and there's the color. So if you want it to be easier to be seen, maybe choose orange and 100% opacity. But a better option, we'll talk about in just a second. I know a lot of people are like, why would you suggest that? But that's just the basic general default settings. That's where they come from. The music and sounds, some people kind of overlook this because it's kind of a hidden tab and a area that you kind of just sweep over. So, but this is where you can add your shutter sound or your countdown. If you click audio countdown, add one, you'll see that it fills out the rest. This is a good place to, if you want to add countdowns, this is where you would do it, or any basic audio. So we'll go ahead and click cancel. The better option for text is using insert special text. So if we go click insert special text, and we're not going to go with pink, we'll go with white. We can change the font, the size, and placement. So that's where our text is going to show up. So we can see if we start the booth, it's now showing up there. And this is going to use all the different text objects right in the middle of the screen in that same place. If we wanted to get a little more in depth, we can, let's say, move this text down here, give it a little bit more space, and we're going to click add text again. Anytime we use one of these options, it then takes it out of the default text. So if I wanted to put my countdown there, set to, let's say, 100, and put it on the photo, and let's say this one needs to be a different color so we can see it. Okay, so now when we save it, we can see the countdowns over here, and the actual, all the other text is going to show up right down there. So that is using text. The next on our list is buttons. For this, we are going to click edit. Oh, not edit. We are going to click choose and then new, because we want to kind of start from scratch, and we're going to actually use some of those media library objects. We'll just call it 01 demo, and horizontal. What we'll do is we'll make it vertical for all of our vertical friends, and click OK. Okay, we're going to click add artwork, browse, and this is where these graphics come in real handy. Let's make it so we can actually see what we're working with. Let's choose, we'll make it pink. Okay, and there's our background. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a live view. Put the live view right there. Next on our list, let's add our preview images. We'll move them down right there, and let's add a few different objects to kind of get some separation. We'll click add, browse, and we're going to go to panels. Go with gold, and let's see what we got. Use this guy right here. And then move our preview images on top of there. Let's change the shape. Whenever we make a template, we want to make sure that the live view matches the preview and the prints. So I want it to be just a little bit more square. And we'll change this, instead of 2x3, we'll go with 4x5 or an 8x10 size. Should give us that not quite square look, but okay. And then next we are going to add, let's add some buttons, and this would allow us to allow our customer to control more of what's going on the screen. So we'll click, let's add another section. And what this does is just allows things to kind of be grouped together. That's how people kind of like seeing objects, so they know what goes where. So now we have that, we're going to click add artwork, browse, and let's see, we'll go to our buttons. We'll see what these look like. Okay, so let's make this a little bit larger so we can see what we're working with. Let's say we have a reprint button. I think that one's a good one. And then copy paste. Oops. We'll do a, say, a cancel button, and then we'll add one more just for fun. Copy paste, and maybe an effect button. Okay. Okay, so color, reprint, cancel. We're not using the space too well, but so what we can now do is assign a command, and this one's going to be grayscale with toggle color, and then we are going to do reprint. And it sounds like my kids are home, so I'll do my best to stay on topic. We got reprint last, and cancel, booth command, cancel session. So, and these are kind of just thrown all over the place. What we can now do is, once again, select them all, right click, space, horizontal equal spaces. Whoops. Oh, I selected the wrong graphic. Okay. We can go space, horizontal equal spaces. Okay, now we know they're spaced properly. Right click, align middle. Oops. Try that one more time. Center horizontally. Okay, so now we know they're all centered and aligned. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this, and we're going to move on to we've got spacing, alignment, touch. Okay, so whenever you're using touchscreen buttons like this, one of the things that you really want to do is you can go to let's save it. One thing that's really important, under your controls, if you're using a left mouse button for start session, anytime you touch the screen, regardless of what you're doing, it's going to want to start the session. So when you use touchscreen buttons, you want to set that to not used. Okay, and then next on the list is our mirror booth. So we're going to go screens, choose. This is the one that we just added, downloaded and added. So if you can do this yourself, it's pretty simple, or you can download it yourself. So one thing that we've done is we've added an input. This is the keyboard. It now shows up at the top rather than the bottom, so you don't have to get on your knees to type in your email address. And we've also added these preview images, and they are set to when shown after photo 1. If we go to photo 2, when shown after photo 2. But the trick is we've also added a composite with 3 photos, 1, 2, and 3, and we will move those to the front. And those are set to when shown always. And why this is real helpful is it's actually loading the images kind of in the background, so whenever this image pops up, it's already preloaded, and that's the trick to get your preview images to show. So I have it hidden behind a black graphic object. If I move it to the front, you'll be able to see it. So it's just hiding those preview images. So that is the trick there. I apologize if I am kind of just all over the place. But want to make sure we cover everything before my kids turn into crazies. They're being real good right now. So the another thing that I want to show you, I told you I promised that we would get into a little bit of Photoshop. So if you take your, where are we at? Documents, and then media library, backgrounds. So a lot of these you'll actually notice that they look very similar, just different colors. You can pull them into Photoshop, and let's say you have a corporate customer and they have, you know, kind of a specific color theme that they work with. You can take one of these gray ones, and we are going to add a we'll go with just a solid color, and let's say something like that blue right there. And then now we can go in and choose a blending option to get kind of a different effect. So let's say that's just a little bit too blue for your own liking. You can then bring down the saturation until it matches up with what you like. So just for fun, we'll go ahead and flatten and then save as, so we don't save over the original, and we'll call this 2B. So that is using Photoshop to change the color of a background. Next thing we're going to do is adding a little bit of personalization to a template. So we're going to switch over and look at an example. Click choose. So my daughter's birthday was a few months back, and I made her this template, and I took one of her images, and I'll show you actually how to crop out, mask out an image, so it's kind of like as if we shot it on green screen. But what we did was we added her picture. She said she wanted rainbows, and I wanted a picture of her on it. So this is just a graphic that is set to show up, and then it hides after getting ready, so somebody can come up and print an extra copy, but the actual screen and interface is all hidden until you touch the screen, and then it goes into this, and her picture is still hanging out on top of it. So let's see, looks like I have two different graphics, one that stays, this one is this one's set to always. So I typically use an O for overlay, so I know what I'm doing. So, and that would be that graphic right there. Also adding somebody's name to the actual layout just makes it feel a little bit more like it was designed and made specifically for them. It goes a long way with customers. So you can do that within Photoshop, or within Darkroom. Or in this case, I think I did in Photoshop, and you know, as actually I did not have her name on it. So, but Darkroom is awesome for a lot of things, but it is not Photoshop. Photoshop is helpful for certain things, like if my daughter said, I want my name to be in rainbow, that would be something I would do in Photoshop. So I am going to show you that in just a minute, not rainbow, but we're going to do a different mask. So we have add in the name, add in the picture. Ooh. So before we jump into the last parts where we talk about masking in Photoshop, I want to show you masking in Darkroom. We'll switch over to a print template. Okay, click new, make it a 4x6. And then, oh, we want horizontal this time. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and add some stuff. So I'm using my scroll wheel to make it a little bit larger so it takes up this entire space. Those graphics were made for a full HD monitor, so that's why it doesn't match up perfectly with a 4x6. Now that we have that, let's say you're doing an event for a photo club, you can click add photo, and then under predefined mask, and it's included in that group that you just downloaded, click browse and go to mask. It should say masks, but we'll select camera. So now when you take a picture, it will then be cropped down to this shape using a predefined mask. And I'll show you how I did that. I have an example. We'll go into Photoshop. I'm going to move my mic out of the way just a little bit so I can get to my keyboard a little better. We're going to make one. This one's also included in the masks. But let's say you have an event and it's for a real estate company. And they sell houses, and click new. Just go with 8x10 and create. It doesn't actually have to be that high resolution. The way masks work is the first thing we'll do is fill in with black, and I just used Alt backspace to fill in black. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shape. Oh, you know what? I'm going to adjust the size so it's square. I don't want 8x10. I want it to be say 5 by 5 by 100. I went to image size because I want it to be square. That'll make it so I can use a vertical image or horizontal image. We're going to add a rectangle and set that to white. And whoops, I'm also going to make sure it has no stroke. Okay, the stroke is the line that goes around an object. Now I'm going to go with polygon and set it to 3. Oops. 3. Now it's a little triangle. See if we can get it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to free transform it so it is now pointing up. Draw it out, and we'll make it just a little bit larger, and then whoops, I'm having to go the opposite way because it's actually a negative. So now we have a little house mask. Enter Control Shift E to flatten everything down, save, and then save it to your masks. And then you can see I already have one. I'm going to switch back over to Darkroom and update my custom mask with the house. So, and you'll see that I also included a real basic one. It doesn't make a lot of sense. This was actually for a tutorial I just did, and most of this is actually covered in previous tutorials, so they are specific and not so crazy and all over the place as this demonstration has been. If you go to darkroomsupport.com, I touched my face again. If you go to darkroomsupport.com, most of this is covered, and I actually think the next thing that's coming up that's it's kind of a really cool Photoshop trick. I think I've covered it in probably a few years back. But what's really nice about this this mask is, we'll move that one right there, copy and paste it, and let's remove that background so we can see what's going on here. So we know that a mask will crop in on an object. So you can actually see how much of this image is being cut into. If you're using a webcam like I am here, then that might be really helpful to zoom in. So that's just something worth knowing. That's why it's included in there. I just recently made a video on that. So we'll go ahead and cancel that because I've messed it up enough where it doesn't matter at this point. And I told you I would be using a virtual printer. I want to show you that real quick before we go. So I've turned off the color effects, and you can actually see this one's using a predefined mask that comes with the software. We're going to go ahead and click save, and I am going to show you this guy in action working the way it should, and you can see that virtual printer that I'm using and how it works. And I'm not using a vertical screen, so that does not look and work right. We're just going with something simple. We'll use the blue leather. Okay. And one more thing, this is why it's really helpful to duplicate your event before you go and start changing things and kind of going with it. My controls, I know this is going to be an issue because I don't have a start button anymore. I'm going to go ahead and set it to start session. And this is kind of just for right now what's going on. You can use face detection to start session, or you can use your voice to start a session. So if you don't want people touching the screen to help control the spread, those two options are there. I just want to touch on that real quick. Pretty topical. So I have my Snagit printer. It's a Windows printer. It's going to go in and it's going to just display an image. You can also use Adobe PDF printer if you have that. It works very similar. But let's start the session and test this out. So it's going to take pictures, or the picture, and then now, because I'm not using a touch screen, I cannot see my mouse. My bad, I knew there was something else. Okay, now we can see my mouse. Okay, and go now a graphic, and then click accept, and now it's going to print to my Snagit printer. Go ahead and exit out of this so you can see how that works and how helpful this is. So I'm not having to waste paper. I can see what would have printed out. That's a Snagit. It's an awesome program. I use it a lot for demonstration. And the last last thing on my list is a custom mask. Like I said earlier, if my daughter had said she wanted a rainbow with her name, I would have done it, because she gets whatever she wants. But we will pull this into Photoshop. This is really cool and easy to do, and I think a lot of people will really appreciate this. So it's just a gold-ish image that I pulled off the internet real quick. I'm going to type in some text. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate this layer. Control J is the keyboard shortcut. Now I am going to control click on that text, and right down here I'm going to click on my mask button. So we'll add in a say a stroke, just to make it a little bit easier to read. And it's pretty low resolution, but you get the gist. I want to say thanks for watching. For everybody out there, stay safe. You guys are the greatest customers we have, greatest customers in the world, and we want to make sure you guys stick around for a while. So please stay safe, do everything you can to keep that space between each other so we can continue to live. Before I start crying, I just want to say thank you for watching. Once again, stay safe.